sometimes we tend to ignore symptoms. You know, I mean, we can, for example, we can have an epidemic going on in the city. People are coughing and getting sick and missing school and so on and so forth, and ignore the symptoms and say, well, everything's okay, you know, and then not address any of those things. And things are going to get worse. People get more affected. But if you know, we you know, realize, you know, well, there's a problem here. We got to do something about it. Let's address this. Let's see how we better address this, because obviously people are very sick. Now, who's responsible? The question is, who's responsible for this country? Is it the politicians that's responsible for this country, the spiritual condition of this country? That's not where it's at. Everybody's, you know, concerned about, you know, the ungodliness in this country and the so-called, you know, right wing, if you want to say it that way, Christian conservatives standing on his platform. My God, I'm right, and everybody's going to hell. And are they concerned about anybody here on the street that is going to hell? You're right, they are going to hell. Are they in trouble? You're absolutely right. They're in trouble. Yep. But are we any better off because we're much more righteous, because we can put on our suit and tie, and we can do all the right things, religious things, so we can impress God and the rest of our, you know, our spiritual entourage, you know, in the church? Is that where it's at? No. We have that at the heart of Christ. The heart of Christ is this: that we go into the world to save sinners. We have to really lay our lives down. You know, lay everything down. Try to bring these people out of this world that they're living in. And somehow we got to find the answers to those equations, because if we're not going to do that, we're only kidding ourselves. This country's going to go, I mean, it's going down. This country's going down for long. It's headed for a train wreck. This country's going to wake up. Do we want that as a Christian nation? No. I say that's a horrible witness to the Christian community if this country goes down. It's a horrible witness against the Christian community if this country goes down.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. That's exactly what I got here. We should be aware. We should all be aware that we're living in those days that Paul described here. This nation is full of the attitudes and behaviors described by Paul. Sadly, once again, we're talking about those who claim to be Christians. We're talking about Christians, people who claim salvation and are also lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good, traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasures more than lovers of God. Now this, once again, is not talking about the sinful world. This is talking about those who claim salvation. And even though they claim salvation, these attributes cover them. They are not submitted to God. If they were submitted to God, none of those things would be seen in their lives. Yet they claim salvation and act diametrically opposed to Jesus, who hung on the cross for their sins. They claim Him, and at the same time, they allow the enemy of their souls to guide their every action. They allow the enemy of all that is good to direct them in a way that's not good. And once again, they are deceived. We cannot allow these attributes in our own lives and expect to be a witness to others. If any of these attributes are a part of our lives, if any of these characteristics from 2 Timothy 1 through 7 are a part of our lives, we need to get down as serious with God. Lord, I need your help, because I need to see this. I need to put this deception behind me and live in the brightness of the light that you have. I want anything that's in my life that's unpleasing to God, I want it to be exposed. I want it to be seen in the light. Now, I'm not saying I want my sins to be open before the world, but I want to see them. If there's something in me that's hindering me from being the witness that God has called me to be, God, show me. David said, search my heart and see if there be any wicked way in me. He didn't want anything in his heart that would hinder him from serving his God faithfully. I don't want anything in my heart where if I go out and whether I'm actually talking to an individual or just allowing the light of Christ to flow through me while I'm in public, I don't want anything that I say or do to hinder the Spirit working in another life. If someone sees me and not talking to them now, they just see my behavior and the way I'm acting in a difficult situation, and they see how I handle that situation. I handle that situation in a godly manner, and they start, wow, there's something different about this person. What is it that makes him able to handle this difficult situation in such a peaceful manner? I'd have blown up by now. That starts to draw that individual. That's the Spirit of God working through us on another individual without even us knowing about it. I'm not talking about going up to somebody and asking them if they know Christ. I'm talking about just allowing the light of Christ to shine through our lives and the way we handle situations. Now that person, they see the way we do something, and they, wow, that's pretty interesting. That's different. And all of a sudden, we do something that's way off in the other direction. Oh, okay, never mind. He's just like everybody else. It must have been a fluke. It only takes one mistake for any of us to destroy our witness. And the fact of the matter is, we may not even know about it. First off, we may not even know that we're being a witness by allowing Christ to live through us and the way people see us in public. We may not even be aware of it. Second, we may not even be aware that even though something we may have done may have allowed the Spirit to touch a heart, something else we may have done may have driven the Spirit away. And that soul never come to the Lord because of something that we did. And we never even knew the individual. We never even spoke to them. Godliness being added to our patience. Without it, what hope do any of us have in being the witnesses God would have us to be?
I think we're talking also about purity, essentially.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And I like what David prayed in the Psalms. He says, and this is bold praying, you can pray like David, and he says, judge me, O God, if I walk in my integrity. That's bold praying. Mm-hmm. And you ask God to judge you. But you have to remember, of course, that David understood that God was fair. And so we want God to certainly judge us, because we recognize the judgment of God isn't what a lot of people assume it to be all the time. A lot of people think that the judgment of God is He's a great big God that acts up there ready to let you have it. Mm-hmm. The judgment of God isn't like that entirely. I mean, it could be. Yeah, I mean, it could be a tornado. Yeah, it could be. But every tornado starts with some dark clouds. Yeah. There's a little bit of breeze. To begin with, a little bit of sprinkling coming on. I mean, that's how the judgment of God works. It starts gently reminding. Mm-hmm. Okay, it doesn't have to get worse. So we want the judgment. Thank God for the judgment. Yes, God, correct me, show me, teach me in measure. I want to be perfected. You should want that. Don't hide behind a religious perspective that I'm okay. I think I'm okay. I'm okay, right, baby? Huh, honey? Am I okay? No. We can't operate that way. We have to get right with God and make sure that we are okay with God. So pray individually on a personal level.
Amen.
In that same sense. Judge me, O God, if I'm walking. I want to get this right. I have to get this right.
Yes. Once again, going back to the lesson, I want to try to finish this up. I'm running out of time. It says, but inwardly They are destitute of the power and holiness of God. Fact of the matter is, inwardly and outwardly, they are destitute of the power and holiness of God. If we're talking about these, we described in 2 Timothy 3, 1 through 7, 1 through 5 specifically. Though they profess to proclaim the gospel to the world, they themselves have not experienced the divine power of God that produces a pure and sanctified heart. Because they have not the first two definite works of grace, salvation and sanctification, they are still in bondage to their carnal natures and thus are not partakers of the divine nature. They have an outward pretense or facade of godliness because they know how to talk the talk. Now, we may be able to fool some in the church, but we're not going to fool the man on the street. We're not going to fool sinners. It's easy we've known individuals who spent long time in the church and appeared to be godly individuals. But at some point in time, their true self was seen. They have the outward pretense or facade of godliness, but because they know how to talk the talk, they deny the power thereof by their refusal of God's only ordained plan to cleanse their hearts from all unrighteousness. When the lost interact with such powerless Christianity, one of two things are likely to occur. Either they will gladly accept the freedom from guilt of sin with no necessary changes to their sinful lives while spreading this powerless gospel to others. Or God will be looked at as just another powerless myth to add to the mountains of others from Greek, Roman, and Norse mythology to any other modern religion today. Simply a crutch that some will cling to in order to explain away things that they don't understand. Either way, the name of God is blasphemed, and there will be some very surprised individuals in the end when Jesus tells them to depart because He never knew them. So ever learning, but never arriving at the truth. Reading and studying the Bible are both important activities in the life of anyone who claims salvation. But without the guidance of the Spirit, we can never learn anything as we should. Without the Spirit's guidance, we will pick and choose the parts we like and avoid anything that seems difficult. We will simply believe everything we hear, never studying anything out for ourselves. Thereby they fail in partaking of the mystery of true godliness. Paul, under inspiration of the Holy Ghost, declared, "From such, withdraw thyself." Now, once again, we're talking about those who claim salvation, and it's not being seen in their lives. The fruit is not visible in their lives. In 2 Peter chapter 3, we're reminded that the day of the Lord is at hand. He will come as a thief in the night, or suddenly and without warning. The earth and the works that are therein will be burned up. When we are then admonished to consider these things, seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved, what manner of persons ought ye be in all holy conversation and godliness? It behooves us to ensure that we have added godliness to our patience as we wait for the culmination of all things. Peter doesn't say, what manner of persons ought ye to be? He doesn't simply say, what manner of persons ought ye to be? He goes on to say, in all holiness, in all holy conversation and godliness. We must allow the Spirit to work freely in us so that we can avoid all of the behaviors described earlier. Godliness is critical to our spiritual survival, but it is also important to the souls we hope to reach by our good conversation in their presence. Hebrews 12:14, follow peace with all men and holiness, without which no man shall see God. Does your worship and service to God come from deep within, the hidden recesses of a heart that has truly been made new by the provision of God through His Son? Is the mystery of godliness alive in your heart today? I'm going to go back to 2 Peter 3, 1 through 5. This know also, that in the last days perilous times shall come, for men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good, traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasures more than lovers of God, having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof. talking about Christians, talking about those who claim to be Christians. If any of these characteristics are in our lives, we need to get to an altar. Because we're not making it ourselves. Jesus said, you're not making it into the kingdom yourselves. And when you make a convert, you make him twofold more the child of hell as yourselves. Are we guilty of that today? The Word tells us that there will be those who are doing that very thing. And as we look around us, as we see the so-called Christian world around us, we see that it's sadly true. That there are those who claim salvation and live like the devil. This will never win souls. This will never change lives. We have to add holiness or patience if we hope to be found faithful and if we hope to make a difference in the lives of others. Lord, judge me. Show me if there are things in my life that are hindering my walk with the Lord, if there are things in my life that are hindering my witness among the lost, show me. Remove them. Help me, Lord, to lay anything down that hinders my walk with you. Because I want to be found faithful. Not only for my own sake. Yeah, I don't want to go to hell. But there are so many others I don't want to go to hell either. Whether I know them or not, whether they're family or friends or strangers, there are so many people in my life on a daily basis that I don't want them to go to hell. But my first step in seeing that accomplished is being submitted to God fully and allowing Him to have 100% complete control in my life. Adding holiness to patience.